Uh, Good morning, Abdul. How are you?
Good, thank you. And yourself?
Yes, good. Thanks very much. First, I'd like to say thank you very much. Come to this, have a chat, this morning. Could you
Hmm.
tell us, why Australia? There are four other, continents. Why Australia?
Well, I can't really say I chose Australia, but Australia chose me, so to speak. Um, I'm here as a, first generation immigrant, but I came when I was 5 years old. My father came here as an international student in the 90s,
Right,
studying pharmacy here at the University of South Australia, and then we came later thereafter in 2000.
right,
So just at the turn of the millennium, we came from one continent, in Tanzania, East Africa, all the way to South Australia. And
right.
yeah, it's those kind of choices which aren't made for you in life, which you don't make yourself in life, but which you are still very grateful for,
Yes,
regardless. Yeah.
right. Okay. Did you come by yourself, or did you come with the family, or?
Came with family, so my dad was already here, my father was already here, and then so my mother and my then two younger siblings who were twins, my younger twin brother and sister, there's 5 year age gap between us,
Right,
came across. Yeah.
right. So you came as a family.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how did you find Australia?
Very, very different.
Yes, very different.
I came from East Africa, from the coast, from a tiny little island called Zanzibar.
Right.
It's quite world famous, but it's a small island, and then you come to South Australia, country South Australia. We lived in Murray Bridge for quite a few years.
Right. Right.
It's a challenge, yeah, just learning the language, transitioning,
Right.
particularly within the period of the early 2000s within Australia.
Right.
Um, Definitely not many colored people, especially those from African background, East African background, or any African background in general within country South Australia or country Australia in general. So it's very different. A lot of good experiences, some challenging experiences as well. But it's definitely part of, growing. Just like people, people are mixed baskets of vice and virtue, each to their own constitution.
Right. Yeah.
Some more in one part, others, less in another. But it's always good, to meet people, to learn, and just, it molds who you are in the end.
Hmm. Hmm. So in your own community, you're the only, African family in this.
Yeah, we were the only African family
Really?
in Murray Bridge at the time. Yeah, it was quite interesting, and I was the only school aged kid in of African descent in the entire country town at the time. Yeah, in
Right.
2000. Yeah, so and my younger siblings were very young. They were only like 1 years old at the time. So yeah, it was very interesting experience.
Yes. Also interesting, but also we have advantages by being different. People ask
Yeah,
you where you from.
yeah.
You can pursue that as a friendship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It's like, yeah, point of difference is what you make it in the end. It can either be an obstacle for you, or, it can be something that you use in your favor. Something that makes you stand out, something that makes you different.
That's right.
You go against the status quo as it so is to speak. And yeah, it can be an advantage in your favor should you be able to apply it and use it wisely. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you
Mhm.
landed in South Australia in Adelaide the first time you came here.
Yeah, we landed in Adelaide when we first came here, drove out to Murray Bridge,
Right.
and then moved to Adelaide finally in 2004.
Right. What about at school?
Yeah.
The schooling, how many, African, in your school, your pro, you know.
In primary school, well,
Yeah.
when I started primary school, so I went to a school called Murray Bridge Primary School. There was no Africans except myself in
Right.
primary school.
Very good.
Yeah, so just me.
Uh-huh.
And But then when we moved to Adelaide in 2004, I went to the Islamic college here.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I started going to the Islamic college since 2003,
Hmm.
but we moved here in 2004 fully, and since yeah, it's a whole multicultural kind of populace at the school, so there's plenty of different backgrounds. But even so, um uh me coming from Tanzania in East Africa, a lot of East Africans come to Australia, whether they're Somalian or they're Somalian by way of coming from Kenya or Ethiopia or any other of one of these countries. Sometimes or from Sudan, a lot of people come here as refugees.
Uh-huh.
My circumstance was a little bit unique in the sense that my father came here as a international student, and a
Right,
lot of Tanzanians come to Australia as skilled migrants or international students.
right,
Thankfully, we don't have a very precarious situation back home, so very few people come to Australia from Tanzania unless they're skilled migrants or diplomats or international students, and many go back home quickly thereafter. But we ended up staying in Australia. So even so, like there were other African populations, but yeah, not many Tanzanians, so I was still the only Tanzanian in school.
very lucky, I think, by being different,
Uh,
you really mean, I
yeah,
think the personality, I think it has a big
yes,
role, how you deal with
it
people.
does. It 100% does. Like, yeah, when you are different, you do get treated differently as well.
Yeah,
Um, and so sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. There's positive bias, there's negative
yeah,
bias, and it's just about navigating those different waters. And so I think it's a very unique experience as well because you often get to observe looking from the outside in, all right? And
yeah,
then you have to make that effort sometimes to, fit within a group or, be able to establish yourself within a group that you were, not naturally or an in-group member to. And so
right,
that creates uh, a means and a possibility for you to be able to interact with many different groups.
right,
Um, and so yeah, I think it's for me personally, it's been a very good character development tool.
right,
Yeah.
yes. But about the high school, high school environments.
High school environment was the same. So yeah, I went to the same school from year three to all the way to graduating year 12. And it was a relatively small school, same class. So I have very good friendships with most of my classmates, even to this day. Pretty
Mhm.
much all of them. Yeah.
So,
We don't speak as much, obviously everybody's got their own lives and so on. People have gotten married, people have gotten older, some people
yeah,
have moved into state. But whenever we meet, the connection's still there, when you go to a small school,
yeah,
especially being a minority in Australia anyway, growing up in the years, post 9/11 as Muslims, it's you form a kind of bond by being a outgroup member of the larger society at large during that time, that stays with you for a long time.
so what year did you finish high school?
2012, the
In the
year apparently the world was meant to end. I think that
And
movie
then,
came out then. Yeah.
right,
People were talking about the Mayan calendar and all of this, the world was
yeah,
about to end in 2012, but that's when I finished school. Well, school ended for me, but the world definitely did not end. Yeah.
yes, yes. So did you
Yeah.
go to the university after?
Yeah, I went to university. I attended university here locally as well in South Australia at the University of South
Right,
Australia. I finished my bachelor's degree in health sciences with
right,
a minor in anatomy and physiology and another one in sport and recreation management.
right,
And then I've been working in the NGO sector for quite some time,
right,
probably the last like 5 years or so on, working for a disability support services provider and youth sports agency called One Culture Ltd. And then recently I moved over to local government by working for City of Charleston Council.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened when you saw this man, came to where you work? I mean, ask for help, and then suddenly you gave me your, your Myke ticket, Adelaide, South Australian Myke ticket.
Yeah.
What happened? What the impression? I mean, this, suddenly the people, someone in trouble.
Yeah. Well, it's a you for me, it's just it's a usual thing, you know.
Right.
It's just it's part of who, alhamdulillah, I've been raised to be. But yeah, to be fair, I was also in the situation because it was my work as well. So I don't want to take,
Right.
too much credit. You came to our humble little community center at Cheltenham Community Center on 62 Stroud Street North, opposite the train station.
Uh-huh.
You asked for some directions. You always want to help somebody who's, asking for directions. One day, who knows, you'll need some direction yourself. And especially for me, um, helping travelers has a important meaning just because my mother, in coming to Australia, couldn't speak English, which is the international lingua franca. And we kind of struggled a lot on that journey coming across because myself and my younger two siblings at the time, my father wasn't with
Uh-huh.
us, he was already in Australia. So it was very difficult. And I saw the appreciation that she had for those people who generally and were able to help her along the journey.
Right.
And the people that made things quite difficult, those moments still stick with her, um, and she remembers those people in quite a stark dichotomy. Those people who made that journey difficult,
Right.
she remembers them, and those people who made that journey easy, she remembers them quite well as well. So for me, it has that important memory and meaning. So when I see travelers and they're struggling, I always, think about my mom during that period of time and, try to help people as much as I can. We came
Yeah.
through. Adelaide Metro can sometimes be a little bit of a difficulty navigating. Sometimes it's
Uh-huh.
not the most like intuitive system. Everything has to go through the city and then to any other side. Um, so it can be a bit difficult to navigate sometimes. And also I think quite recently they had swapped only to using Metro cards and they weren't really distributing any physical tickets anymore, which
Right.
were the one-time use or multi-use tickets for quite some time, especially after the period of the COVID. So I
Uh-huh.
remember I myself was caught out once because I went on the bus and I was like, okay, I thought I would just buy a ticket, and the guy was like, no, we don't do this anymore. So it's like, okay. And he definitely let me know. Because I had the money for the ticket, but the way in which he looked at me, it was like, oh, you're just one of those guys who are trying to rot the system, right? And it was a very condescending look. So I didn't appreciate it, but I just went about my day. Since he let me sit down, I took the courtesy and the grace, and allowed everybody to jump to their own conclusions. So like when I saw you come through, I remember I had my Metro bus ticket, and I thought I'd spare you probably the same fate that I had on that day, and
Right.
give you my old Metro card because these days I really don't use it unless I don't really go to the city.
Uh-huh.
Um, Ever since the end of my uni days, very rarely do I go, and if I do go, I take my car and pay for a ticket for here and there, and then I'm out. Yeah, so. I was like, yeah, let me spare somebody
Yeah.
else a little bit of a fate, make a journey a bit easy, and we'll see how we go.
I still keep the ticket, I put it on my wall, this is the present, the best present I ever had, and from this year, someone gave me for free, Myke ticket. But you know what happened
Yeah,
that day? I got my
yeah,
my ticket, not my ticket, my friend's ticket. He gave it,
yeah,
you can use this one here, but there's a
yeah,
name in it, it's not my name. So I don't have
yeah,
want to have any trouble. It's just inspector, came, on the train.
yeah,
So I said,
yes,
just get off the train because I live not far from where I met you,
yeah, okay.
road, you know.
All right, yeah, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, my ticket, I never put my name on it. I mean, it was linked to my thing, and I remember I think last time I'd put like some money on it. And then, but yeah, I've never written my name down on it or anything. Like I've lost at least I think three of those metro tickets during my time and had to replace them. Yeah, the metro cards. Yeah, it's just a card, and then you just yeah. I think one time though, I lost one ticket which I'd put in a lot of money in, like almost I think 50 or 70 bucks for the semester travel wise.
Right.
And or I think whoever benefited when they picked up my Metro card, but it is what it is.
Yes, I went to Adelaide 2002 with my daughter, with my wife, Ruby, you know what I mean? And this is
Yeah,
the second
okay.
time I went to Adelaide again,
Yeah.
seated, my friend Lenny, a musician, a very good
Yeah.
musician. So
Yes, okay.
he took me to the, Glenelg, beach, those beautiful beaches, you know,
Yeah, no, Adelaide's
ride a
got some
bike.
beautiful beaches.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Glenelg's really nice. It's very packed as well, It gets very busy down there, especially during like New Year's time and all public holidays. But it's a very beautiful beach. And there's the Stamford Grand, I think, is a hotel down there as well that a lot of like universities and not universities, like high schools and stuff that their functions there. I had my high school graduation down there actually.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, so
interesting.
it's a very nice place. Yeah, Glenelg is quite nice. But yeah, plenty of good beaches. My local one is here around Semaphore that I go down to every once in a while in the jetty. It's nice sometimes just around nighttime. Some people go fishing, you see the stars. It's beautiful.
Yeah. How did you get the job that, where the community center, how
Mhm.
it happened? Did you see on the paper, or someone uh, told you that that was the job?
Yeah. So I'd actually been volunteering with council for some time, even when I was working my old job as the program design officer at my previous agency, One Culture
Right.
Ltd. I'd been a bit, hesitant to apply. I'm really good. The guys at my old work became really good friends with my bosses,
Right.
and they looked out for me quite well. So it was yeah, it was a bit it was tearing me in two trying to apply, but at the same time I knew in the future that I wanted to get back into NGO work, but through
Right.
international humanitarian work, hopefully.
Right.
But that local government experience and any some form of administrative government experience would help. So this came along, and council positions don't come often along like that. And the previous guy who was in my role retired. So it had kind of opened up, and I was like, okay, I was, up in arms about it a little bit, but then I applied. My brother-in-law he he really, pushed me towards it. So I'm grateful for that. And then I actually submitted my application, I think half an hour before it was due in
Right.
the in the morning, 9 a.m. And then yeah, I submitted I think I think it might have been due 7:30. I submitted like no 8 a.m. I submitted like 7:30, and then just hoped for the best. And
Yeah.
and then I let it be, and then things started just the ball started rolling slowly. The interview came around, they offered me the position, I accepted, and yeah, it's been since I started officially in November last year, and
Right.
end of
Okay.
November last year. Yeah.
Right. I mean, to volunteers, I think it's very, holy. It's a very interesting job, very rewarding job. You know what I mean? I've been volunteering
Yeah.
in Australia. I mean, for started when I landed in Sydney, 43 years ago. But even now, I'm still
Wow.
yeah, the retires from my official job, but I'm busier now
Yeah.
than I work
Yeah.
last year because so many things
Yeah.
to do. I mean, the
Yeah.
word of retires, I mean, it's not in a very positive in a word, really. You never stop,
Yeah.
you always something to do.
Yeah. That's true.
That's right. So how do
Yeah.
you,
And you shouldn't ever stop.
that's right. So how do you see, I mean,
Mhm.
yourself, 10, 15 years from now? Where do you see yourself?
Uh, I'm working to a couple of things.
Mhm.
10, 15 years now. Yeah, I would really like to work in international humanitarian sector or development sector. At the moment, I'm working as in the community development sector locally here within local government.
Right.
within the city of Charleston, and my substantive role as the community development officer for Cheltenham. But yeah, just pursuing a couple different things. I do some small scale things on the side in terms of some consultancy work. But yeah, I'd like to eventually be in the humanitarian development sector, probably 10, 15 years from now, working somewhere overseas. Yeah, not sure exactly where, but yeah, I'm definitely trying to pursue that direction. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Not thinking going back to Tanzania and becoming, public, official,
Public official in Tanzania. Look, I've never been the politician kind of type.
Why?
Yeah, I just like, uh, you know, I think with politics, uh, I think ambition is a very dangerous thing, you know.
Right.
Ambition is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it can be something which is very good, but it also I've seen it lead a lot of people to compromising the values with which they embarked on a journey to begin with,
Yes.
when their ambition gets the better of them. So yeah, I've seen that, even on a personal level with dealing some people who've gone into the politics sector, where I think sometimes people lose sight of why it is that they uh, decided for themselves to get into the sector to begin with. So I
Yeah.
think it can be that double-edged sword, and I think it's better to question your own um, sense of good than to assume that it's always going to be there, you know,
Yes. Yes.
because that's when I think people just lose it. They always assume that, I'm a good person, and it's almost as if they guarantee that they will always be, but
Yes.
people forget that, that you are, what you do, and, as your actions change, you become
Yes.
the sum total of what those actions are, so
That's
people
right.
are equally corruptible as they are redeemable. And, sometimes maybe it just pays to be careful, because prevention is better than cure.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Interesting you mentioned the double sword, because especially for those people who, they have to measure themselves, how much
yeah,
the ambitious with themselves. If the ambitious far too big
yeah,
the capability, then dangerous,
yeah.
you know. Yeah, you
Yes,
look at the history, has said that, 10 activists, left wing or right wing or whatever you
yeah,
call it, only one or
yeah,
two, they still stay the same course. The
on the same
rest
course. Yeah,
lost the colors,
yeah,
you know.
100%. And I think sometimes changing course is not a bad thing, but it depends on the intention and the reason for which the course is changed. And when it's caused by, a pursuit for material outcomes as a result of that ambition,
Yes,
that's when that changing of course becomes dangerous.
yes,
And that's I think politics 101.
that's
You
right.
know, and I think we're definitely seeing it a lot in this time where, uh, politicians aren't able to even make decisions of sound conscience,
Yeah,
just in order to pursue the party line, and it's getting more hardline each and every single day. Like people, you know, they sacrifice their integrity, they sacrifice their entire moral compass, just, you know, for what in the end, just
and
a
all
seat at the table, and yeah,
yes, and also, I mean, it's like, when to stop, when to step down, or keep going,
yeah.
and the power will destroy you. I think the time
Uh,
when to stop, when to step down, I think that's a very difficult, decision for those
yeah.
people, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. People want to hold on to it forever. It's intoxicating.
That's right. Right. Interesting that the first time in that day I met you, I thought you
Yeah.
just finished high school, You're so young. I mean,
Uh,
are you married?
no, I'm not
No,
married.
good. Okay, I was right
I'm
then.
not
I was
married.
right. And you're still very
Yeah.
young.
Yeah, I'm reasonably young. I'm not as young as I look. I'm 29 now.
Gee, you're looking at
Yeah.
24, 23, really?
Nah, I'm older than I look, but yeah, nah, it's yeah, it can be like you say, people really try to hold on to the seat for forever,
That's right.
um, but people forget that they themselves do not last forever,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, you and I come from, I come from Indonesia, come from Tanzania.
Mhm.
In the West, you don't talk politics, you don't talk, about, sex, you don't talk
Yeah,
about something else. I forgot that. The three thing. Politics.
yeah, people don't talk uh religion,
That's right. There's
religion.
three religion.
Yeah.
You don't talk in public unless you know the person really well, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
now we talk straight away
Yeah.
to politics. We can't avoid it. There's politics of everyday
Yeah.
life, right?
Yeah, I think the thing is, when you're trivial, when all your conversations become trivial,
That's
your
right.
relationships with people equally become trivial, you
That's
know?
right. That's
And
right.
so I think people sometimes avoid, talking about the pertinent subjects of life and asking, those primordial existential kind of questions which lead to these differences and natural differences of opinion.
That's right.
But then as a result, that richness um, of cultural exchange, of understanding different perspectives and being able to, still have mutually respectful dealings with people
Mm.
disappears. And I think that's what happens. We have this pseudo-intellectual, sub-intellectual culture where I think people often pontificate or they make themselves out to be more sophisticated and I don't know, culturally, you know, um, uh, culturally, knowledgeable than they actually are. I think there's a
That's
lot
right.
of pretense that goes around
That's
with
right.
people engaging in the most mundane conversations and subjects. I think people sometimes uh, they don't have any ability to deal with conflict or resilience on conflict
Mm.
of ideas. It's fine that we can come to a conversation and say, you know what, I don't agree, but like if you need help tomorrow with moving some of your furniture, I'll help you. You
That's
know, right?
right. Thanks for
I
that.
think yeah, people
You're
don't
right.
don't don't have that. Yeah, they don't have that ability anymore, I think. Yeah.
Because one day Melbourne is far too big already now.
Yeah.
One day, who knows, we might the city that we decide to move, surely Adelaide, smaller than Melbourne, but we're still happy in Melbourne now.
Yeah, Melbourne's a good city. Melbourne's a good city to visit. I think you
Yeah.
guys got, especially from my side, when I think about halal food,
Hmm.
Melbourne is good. But I think Adelaide has a lot of benefits as a smaller city.
Hmm.
Big city culture can be a challenge as well.
Yes.
Those connections and stuff are, I think, more difficult to build as well. But then Adelaide, it's like 1 degree of separation between the premier and your local.
Yes. Yes.
It's everybody knows everybody, so it's a bit different as well.
And also, you said one single Indonesian language there. What Selamat pagi? I think you said that, right?
Yeah,
I was
selamat pagi.
impressed.
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
did it happen?
Um,
How did you know that the most important word? Greeting.
Salama Pagi. Yeah, yeah, it was the morning, so I had to double check that it hadn't crossed over to 12 p.m. so I could say Salama Pagi. Otherwise, I always mix up the afternoon and the evening time, Salamat Datang and Salamat Malam.
And selamat
One
pagi is
what
morning, selamat siang is
morning.
afternoon, selamat
Salamat
sore
Siang
is
is
the evening,
yeah, is
and good
evening,
night,
yeah.
selamat malam.
Salamat Malam, yeah,
That's
is
right.
the
Selamat
good night.
datang mean welcome.
Yes,
That
welcome. That's right.
that's
Yes.
right.
Yeah. So sometimes I know Salamat Malam for the good night and Salamat Pagi for the good morning. And the only other Indonesian phrase, because I interact with a lot of Indonesians and also Malaysians, so I know a little bit Bahasa Melayu, Bahasa Indo. So it's like makan,
That's right, makan.
Makan
That's
to
very important word, that one.
Yeah, very, very important. When you need your sambal, makan, makan, sambal,
That's
sambal.
right.
So yeah, it's good. Indonesian, like mostly my Indonesian is from when we from learning with Indonesian friends and Malaysian friends and Singaporean friends, learning a bit of Bahasa. But I
Right.
remember also when we were in year three as well, we had to study Indonesia as well.
Oh, that's good.
Um, yeah, I think the prime minister at the time was Susilo Bambang.
Susilo Bambang, not the president, not
Yeah,
Susilo Bambang
yeah,
Yudhoyono, not
yeah. I
him.
think he was the president. Yeah, I think it was him at the time. I think it might have been was it him? Oh, I can't remember. It was a while back.
No, hang
But
on, hang on,
anyway,
hang on. You're saying the Indonesian president came to your school, teach you
no, he
Bahasa.
didn't come to our school. No, he was the president at the time in Indonesia.
Ah,
Yeah, when we were when we were in school, we had to do a project in I think it was in year three, year four-ish. We did a project on Indonesia as
and he came to your school. Did he
as
say?
a no, he didn't come to our school. I'm just saying he was the president of
Ah,
Indonesia at
right,
the time.
right, okay, all right,
Yeah, and I remember seeing him on SBS News and stuff like this.
right,
But
okay,
anyhow, um, I also knew a little bit of Indonesia because in Murray Bridge when I lived at the time, one of our good family friends was an Indonesian who'd married an Australian person, right?
right,
So it
okay,
was a white Australian and an Indonesian, and she was a very good chef. Like when we used to go to her house, we used to enjoy a lot of good Indonesian dishes. So I picked up a little bit there as well. And I
right.
remember one of the projects that we did in school was that we made those puppets that you have
Yes,
in the
the
background
wayang.
for
It's
yeah, the
called wayang.
wayang.
Yeah.
Yes, and we made the play with them. But yeah, that was a long time ago. But Bahasa is I think it's a reasonably I think it's an easier language than English. English is
Yes.
extremely difficult language to learn. Yeah,
But be careful when you say there's no any language you can't really say it's easier than other language
yeah,
maybe, but it's not easy
yeah,
because you know
definitely. I hear
Bahasa.
you.
I mean,
It's
I think the difficult part of Bahasa is active and passive form. That's difficult.
yes, okay.
Takes years and
Yes, yeah.
years. You know.
Yes, no, I can understand that. I'm only speaking from the perspective of phonetics,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
in terms
yeah.
of the way
You-
it's
you-
spelled is the way it's
yes,
pronounced. But
yes,
with English, like
yes. Unphonetic
and
language.
English grammar, yeah, yeah, yeah. Phonetic languages, I think at least on the level of speaking and reading
Yes,
are easier than,
yes,
languages like English, which are spelled, with silent letters like I'm coming to Australia and I'm like, what is the purpose of a silent letter
yeah,
like reading the word sign and it's I'm trying to learn. I'm like sign, all right, and
yes,
another sign. I'm like, what? Why is it here? If
yeah,
it's not quite, if it's not doing anything, you get what I mean. But yeah, in that
yeah.
sense,
All right, Abdul,
phonetics.
I think this is part one, episode
Yeah.
one. So we have to continue
Mhm.
the episode two. Okay.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
I'll give you again
No
again
problem.
the timetable when will be the next. Okay. Thanks very much for this,
Easy. No
and
worries.
have a good
Anytime.
day.
You too.
And tell to
Easy.
everyone at the community center, say hello from Melbourne. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do. All right. Nice. Thank you, Anton.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.